Hello friends, my name is Isabella. Today we are recapping the Netflix series 1899, episode 6, so let's start the video. 1899 episode 6 opens with a flashback to Tova and Ada sprinting through the woods. Tova is back on the ship with the remaining passengers when she wakes up. Something about the flashback triggers Tova, making her believe the boy is the devil, just like her mother. Daniel and Ike make it clear that they need to figure out what to do because they're stuck in the ocean, and the engine is off. If they don't turn it back on and find land ASAP, they're all going to die out there. Ike finally takes charge and starts acting like the captain again, instructing Oleg and Franz to take the men to the furnace room and power up the engine. The two priests are to stay with the first mate to work the telegraph and send a distress signal. Ike intends to find the boy with Mora's help. If we want to survive this, we'll need to trust each other. We return to the ship's dark corridors, but first, the camera pans to the mysterious console we've seen Daniel tinker with a few times. It's oozing some black sludge that then seems to crystallize. In the hallways, Tova's mother, Iben, starts rambling that her daughter is chosen. She thinks Tova believes her now about the boy and all her other assertions. Elsewhere, Mora and Ike reach an understanding. Neither of them revealed the other's secret to the remaining passengers. Franz, Oleg, and the other men see that same black, crystal-like substance descending from the ceiling on their way to the furnace room. Daniel warns them not to touch it. We don't know what it does. Mora takes Ike down the hatch in her room to search for the boy, revealing that they're at a replica of where she grew up, and the house in the distance belongs to her father. Tova and Clemens split from the group to search for survivors and share a moment. Clemens admires Tova for her resilience. She's always wanted children. Then Clemens strips down and puts on a pair of pants, remarking that men invented dresses and high heels to make it harder for them to run away. Down in the furnace room, Ling Yi and Oleg work together to get more coal to burn so they can restart the engine. Ling Yi finds a postcard and questions if it's from a girl. Oleg says no, it's from his brother. She kisses him after confirming he doesn't have another woman waiting for him somewhere. Mora takes Ike into the mental hospital, explaining that her father built it for her mother. Her mother was the only person Henry ever showed genuine affection to, and his obsession with the human brain stems from her sickness. She slowly forgot who everyone was, including her children and husband. They go inside the room with the creepy medical chair we've seen Mora get strapped into a few times. Ike opens a window and is shocked to see what appears to be the ship's hull. Similarly, Mora finds a loose panel and rips it off, revealing more of the boat behind it. How is that possible? Daniel follows them into the hatch. The telegraph room houses an Nancy Ramiro, Anker, and the first mate. The first mate is frustrated with being stuck there, waiting for a response from their distress call, so he marches off down the hall. Meanwhile, Ramiro tries to comfort Anker in light of Crester's death. Left to her own devices, Mrs. Wilson quickly finds herself in trouble when she touches some of the strange black substance on one of the portholes. It starts overtaking her hand, and outside her room, we see more of it appear in the hallways, coating the walls like rock formations. Continuing their perusal of the hallways, Tova spots Crester, or what she thinks is Crester, and follows him through a doorway that takes her to the past. Suddenly, she's in a field and no longer pregnant. She finds Crester being held at gunpoint and runs to stop the man from killing her brother. The shot goes off on the side of Crester's face, causing the scar we see later. But seconds later, Tova returns to the ship. Iben arrives and helps Tova to her feet, encouraging the group to continue to the lower deck. The red-headed first mate returns to the dining hall and climbs into the cupboard, where the boy was previously locked away. Energy pulses, and we can assume he used it to travel somewhere else. In Henry Singleton's house, Mora tells Ike what the boy told her about asking the creator for answers. Ike advises her to help continue searching. Tova continues down to the lower decks again and believes she sees Crester. But it's not Crester, it's the man who shot him. Terrified, Tova backs up and goes through another doorway, reverting to the past. Again we see that fateful day when Crester got shot. Tova emerged from the woods into a horrific situation where men were holding her entire family at gunpoint, minus Ada. They lie and say Ada is in school, so that's why she's not present. Crester slept with the man's son, which the man deems a severe offense. In return, he plans to take something from them. He rapes Tova while her family is forced to watch. After getting over the initial shock of the assault, Tova fights back and eventually bludgeons her attacker with a rock, stealing his gun and shooting him dead. So now we know how Tova got pregnant and what Crester was referring to when he mentioned she had killed someone. While shoveling coal in the furnace room, Lucien does try to make amends with Jérôme. But it's a little late for that. He's already been labeled a deserter. But it's not like Lucien got off easy either. He will die unless he can get to America and a doctor there can save him. The surgery isn't something the doctor has ever performed on someone still alive. At least they are successful in getting the engine running again. That's something. However, Ramiro and Anker quickly realize the other guy has left, and they don't have anyone to steer the ship. Ramiro finds the coordinates from the telegraph and finds the point on the map. Anker starts looking through some of the books nearby for help, but none are helpful. They're all covered in a repeated phrase. May your coffee kick in before reality does. That's not a good sign. The first mate, Henry's secret agent, arrives in the hatch to meet with Henry. He still doesn't have the boy with him. Their conversation is full of more cryptic messages. It will take 48 hours for a transfer to complete. And Henry says something about how people are blind to reality and need to shift their perspective to see the full scope of things. They're standing outside the giant black pyramid, surrounded by a field of that same black crystal-like rock formation that has infected the Kerberos. Inside the Singleton Hospital, Maura and Ike discover those black protrusions in the hallway. Maura reaches out to touch one, but Daniel arrives just in time to stop her. He warns them they don't have much time because it's spreading. He implores Maura to remember who he is as Ike pulls a gun on Daniel, suspecting him of working for Henry. Ike and Daniel get into a fight over the gun. Daniel gains the upper hand by pulling out his handy-dandy console device and using it to send Ike down a hatch into the woods somewhere. Once alone, Maura grabs the gun and points it at Daniel as he begs her to wake up and tells her he loves her, revealing that he is her husband of 12 years. But Maura doesn't believe him and can't remember. None of this is real. She locks him in the room with the restraint chair. Outside, Maura tries to remind herself who she is, shouting at the skies to her father. She throws the gun in frustration and is shocked when it hits something invisible and solid, leaving behind a mark like broken glass. Upon closer inspection, Maura discovers a panel suspended in midair. Removing it reveals the ship's hub. This can't be real. Henry watches all of this transpire from the screens in his office. Back on the Kerberos, Tova, Clemens, Mrs. Wilson, and Iben reach the upper deck just as a horrible thunderstorm starts rolling in. Mrs. Wilson notices the blackness has spread down her hand toward her wrist. Tova looks at the stormy horizon and says, "This can't be real." Ike climbs out of the hatch and finds himself in the steering room of the Prometheus? Just like Tova and Maura, Ike mutters, "This can't be real," and when the camera pans away, we see that the Prometheus is just one of many steamships, all stuck in an eerie boat graveyard. Thanks for watching this video and I will see you later with the next episode of this series.